Hello, my name is Sophie Lorenzo, and this is my presentation for Thomas Cole. Thomas Cole is a famous landscape painter who was born on February 1st, 1801 in England. His career took off for landscape paintings, predominantly depicting scenic, untouched nature in America. He immigrated to the United States in 1818, where his career took off, creating landscape paintings. I selected this particular artist because of my personal interest in certain types of art. I admire the landscape paintings immensely, and when I come upon Cole's artwork in the textbook for this class, it naturally intrigued me and caught my interest. Moreover, when I analyze or just merely stare into his artwork, I feel as if my mind is going to the place in the painting that he tried to emulate, and I'm sometimes imagining myself there, whether that be standing on top of a mountain or on the edge of a cliff that leads to the blue sea. I think I am able to put myself somewhere in this painting because Cole does such a good job with his techniques and form that his landscapes look very lifelike, but still so serene and utterly beautiful. Cole's landscape paintings belong to the Romanticism period. While the Romanticism period has many meanings and characteristics, what I take from Romanticism is about heightening the emotion produced in art by showing off the beauty of different forms, such as a sunset in the distance. According to Thomas Cole in Maine by John Wilmerding, his combined celebration of national geography and romantic idealism resulted in the creation of such pictorial icons of his day, for example, like Shroon Mountain in 1833 or the Oxbow in 1836, or the Mountain Ford in 1846, which you see on the slide right now. His mediums for most of his preliminary drawings were pencils and pen with ink, and these drawings were most of the time drawings he would do that would prepare him to use paint in his artwork. This is why his drawings resembled the landscape paintings we see today. Because Cole used oil paints, so his medium for landscape paintings was predominantly oil on canvas. So because he used oil paints, I think this allowed him to create a lot of depth in his work. For example, he does a lot of mountains in the distance or a sea near the horizon, which allows him, I think he uses this technique to like shadowing to create depth perception. And I think the oil paints allow him to do this more easier. And he also the I think the oil paints also allow him to produce vivid and deep colors, which um, heighten the serene kind of feel going on with his landscape pictures. So influences that shaped Thomas Cole. According to the Views and Visions of Thomas Cole by Carl Pfluger, Cole's religious reverence with nature was re-emerging with special force and intensity in Cole's own Romantic period, and was the real source of his strength and originality as a landscapist. So he had an appreciation for nature and religion, and he definitely talks about his Christianity a lot in his paintings. For example, the cross in the world. So the cross in the world depicts two pilgrims who face different journeys, and in the end, the one who traveled the long and treacherous path through the mountains is rewarded by angels from heaven. So in that painting, The Cross in the World, he uses nature as symbolism for a hard life to show a lesson, a kind of like a lesson of religion and morality. Cole lived near the Hudson River, which might also have influenced his interest in landscapes, and he incorporated the Hudson River into his paintings. He sketched many drawings of this river and the landscape around it, and later used this scenery in some of his paintings. Another thing that might have influenced his paintings is he traveled to England and Italy right after he moved to America and other countries in Europe. His travels influenced and helped him to use European architecture and ruins, especially when depicting the demise of civilizations in the series The Course of Empire, which he did in the 1840s. So, Cole's most popular series were The Course of Empire from 1833 to 1836, The Voyage of Life in 1842, and The Cross in the World in 1847. So, according to the views and visions of Thomas Cole by Carl Fugger, he called them allegories, but in more basic words, they are really just a set of pictures contrived to create a consecutive series. So, for example, The Course of Empire was a set of paintings that was very influential because the paintings depicted the evolution of society in a negative light as it related to industrialization, but in contrast showed the peaceful civilizations in valleys and near the sea that survived through the similar practices such as farming. During the time this series was published, there was a growing concern throughout the United States that a more advanced civilization would cause the end of a peaceful society. So Cole definitely built off these fears and like supported them by showing that by showing a civilization and utter demise, and then other paintings of peaceful villages and mountain areas, showing that he supports the um, farming industry and the ban against advancements in civilization, which never, I mean, really got that much support. The Voyage of Life is another popular series, and this series depicted a man on a boat with an angel through many years of his life, from when he was a boy to an elderly man. This series turned out to be very powerful and influential because of its emphasis on Christianity and life's hardships. As the man was young, he worked hard to move the boat with no help from the angel. At his final stage in life, however, the angel finally greets him as he now has to take the road to heaven. The last most popular series on this slide is The Cross and the World. Unfortunately, he died before he could finish the series, but it still gained a lot of popularity and is still influential today. So, as described in the slide before, The Cross and the World gained popularity through its emphasis on life lessons with an incorporation of Christianity as well. So through the series, it is clear that Cole argued through the paintings that only those who work hard throughout their life will gain salvation in heaven. As depicted from these three famous series, each series of paintings were illustrated in some sort of moral or religious lesson, and I think that's probably part of the reason why these paintings are so influential still today. So The Hunter's Return was published in 1845, and many people valued this painting because of its most accurate representation of American scenery, from the civilians to the mountains and trees in the background. As the importance of the environment had just recently been making headway during the time of the publication of the painting, Cole supported this discussion of environmental issues by showing an example of how civilization has been intruded on what would have been untouched nature. As you can see, like there's an axe in the picture to show the kind of disruption of that untouched nature. So success and importance. Cole struggled for years to become a successful landscape painter, but finally gained popularity after painting the Hudson River. While he was struggling to find fame, it put him in a lot of financial strain, and especially when he moved to America and had like nothing to his name. But after he painted a couple pictures of the Hudson River, he gained a lot of popularity and um, received a lot of notable patrons that supported his artwork financially. Cole is now known as the father of the Hudson River School. So the Hudson River School is it's kind of serene landscape paintings inspired many American landscape painters that attempted to emulate the Hudson River and similar sceneries as Cole executed gracefully during this time. So it just influenced a lot of other painters to create work like he did. He was one of the most influential landscape artists in the 19th century and inspired many Americans. Through his depictions of almost heavenly-like landscapes, Cole influenced many people to value nature as this was near the end of the Industrial Revolution, and a lot of people had lost the value in it. Moreover, Cole helped people to gain a liking and interest in the wilderness, which helped Americans to start thinking about environmental issues as not long after Cole died, the first national park was actually founded. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Here's the Works Cited page. I hope you have a great day.